Hi guys, welcome back. It's UK here again. With a little side topic. Um, Romance in RPGs. Do you do it? Do you include it? What do you do with it? To be fair, my experience has been quite limited on this. We used to play Pendragon a fair bit, which, if you don't know, is the sort of like romanticised Arthurian RPG that was published by Chaosium. Don't know if it's still around anymore, but it was really, really good. And especially if you used the Boy King campaign, you kind of went over like three generations of the same character. And part of that was that you wanted to get your knight to have a wife and have children, and after a certain amount of time, if the campaign progressed long enough, you'd have one of your children become your next character. So you followed the family progression. For the most part, it was left up to a mechanical roll if you wanted to see whether you could. At least as I remember, it's been a long time since we did Pendragon, but as to what happened and whatnot. But you often tried to role play it out. After all, you want to make sure you marry the right woman and all. And it was quite. I don't know. Most of your campaign, most of your adventuring was dealing with Saxons or Picts, or the fairy realm, or the more sort of unusual sort of bits of the Arthurian lore. Um, but you could do some really cool role playing, trying to marry the local lord's daughter, so that you had a bit of a claim to his lands as well and stuff like that. The only other time it sort of like came up was back under the days of D&D 3.5. I ran a campaign that I talk about a lot in the past called Shackled City, which is one of the first adventure paths that Paizo put out. And there's no inherent romance in that in the slightest, but one of my players, Gary, was playing a half celestial cleric or paladin, I forget which. And part way through, he did actually start chatting up a barmaid in the tavern. Nothing unexpected. This is the sort of thing that happens in a lot of fancy RPGs, I guess. But for some reason, both he and I sort of picked up on it, and although the campaign itself, the main story carried on, we did sort of have him come back to the tavern, and she took a liking to him, and he was very generous with his money, and he talked nicely to her, which most of the bar patrons didn't. And over the course of the campaign, they got sort of close together, eventually married, and ended up having a child. But those are the only instances I've ever had that I can remember where we had any sort of romance involved in the game. And I find myself, I think that there's a hard. It's not something you can just decide is going to happen. It happens in game if it's going to happen. But I don't think, considering the nature of most campaigns, that it kind of works. You kind of want to be getting on, delving the dungeon, defeating the evil lord, and what have you. So when it happens, it's a nice add-on. But I'm curious on your thoughts on that. Do you include romance in your games? How do you do it? How do you stop it being uncomfortable, especially if the player in question is the same gender as you? I mean, that might sound like a really silly question in this day and age, but I'm sure it must make some people uncomfortable. But I'd be quite interested to hear your stories of romance included in your games and how you do it. I look forward to those. So until next time, take care and good gaming.